that's also being used by people behindhand. A tool that we're not familiar in Britain is this twibill, that tool there that you use for cutting mortise holes. We may have used a mortising axe, but we tended not to use twibills. And there's also an auger there, and there's another man using an auger at that point there.
Why do we call it Dragon Hall? It was the discovery of this carving in one of the spandrels at the junction of the wall post and the tie beam that suggested its modern name. There were probably dragons in all the spandrels. Mr. Topps could have been a member of the Guild of St. George, hence the dragon. It's carved from imported Baltic oak, a hardwood. Richard Darragh thinks it is the finest carving in Norwich. The spandrels, though, are not identical in shape, which tells us that each one was individually hand-carved. The dragons fit exactly and would have been inserted before the arch brace was put in position. Notice also that the length of the wall plate scarf joint here shows how the beam would have been lengthened. The whole of the wall plate would have been put together as one length, just above the vertical wall studs, and then lowered to engage with the studs as one piece. As we saw from the reconstructed view, there were 3 oriel windows on the street side. How do we know? There is evidence in the internal wall. Here, the peg holes are missing, which tells us there were no studs here, but an open space for a window. The view of the hall from the yard at the back shows how surprisingly flexible wood can be. The plate on top of the wall slopes down on both sides due to the shifting of the building. Possibly this is one of the reasons for the survival of the building life. It stood the test of time and survived the Norwich Blitz in 1942, perhaps because it was so adaptable. For most of its life it has been accommodation, and latterly on the ground floor a pub, a butcher's shop and a rectory. For 25 years after its rescue and conservation in the 1970s and 80s, it was a heritage building run by the Norfolk and Norwich Heritage Trust, open to the public and a venue for school visits, for weddings, beer festivals and market fairs, drama productions and many other events. Dragon Hall is now home to Writers Centre Norwich, who are campaigning to establish a national centre for writing. This will be a new major cultural venue for the city, which will ensure Dragon Hall remains at the heart of Norwich civic life for many years to come. Where once it was a place for international trade, it will now be a place for the exchange of stories from all over the world. Dragon Hall is a valuable resource, a visual testimony to the skills of our predecessors, and it remains one of Norwich's most prized architectural gems.